What's up, guys? This is Kyle from Wax Museum. I'm back today with my 11th installment of my 75th anniversary team collection. And I'm pretty excited about today's video because it is bookended by a pair of former Lakers big men that I definitely, you can see I've got a bigger stack here and here than I do everywhere else on the table, because these are guys that I've enjoyed collecting. So let's go ahead and jump right in. First up, you can see in this top corner here, we've got George Miken. And George Miken was a 5-time NBA champ and a 2-time NBL champ before that. A lot of people, don't want to count those rings or whatever, but the NBL was the league that merged with the BAA to form the NBA. And, the point being, he won 7 rings in some capacity, whatever you want to say, wherever they were. He was the league's first great big man. He was 6'10". So, it's not like he was just marginally taller than the other players. I know people try to give you that impression. That's not true at all. That he was a giant among men. And he came into the league and immediately led the league in scoring for his first 3 seasons. He was such a force in the paint that they had to double the size of the lane from 6 feet to 12 feet. And they also had to implement a goaltending rule. From what I've read, they hadn't even thought of that before, because there really wasn't a player that, could consistently do that. And then finally, his dominance at the time set the pace of the game and moved the league toward implementing a 24-second shot clock. So I've said it before and I'll say it again. Anyone that has that kind of influence over how the game is officiated and how the game is played, they are an all-time great, and Miken was no exception. It's almost like the league was just constantly changing to try and, equal the playing field, because Miken was so great in his time. So unfortunately, I don't have his real 1948 rookie, so I've got this. This is a licensed reprint. It's not a counterfeit, but it's actually a licensed reprint that they did in 1996. So that's the closest thing I have so far. Actually, I take that back, because there are a couple of decent alternatives. If you're looking for a Miken alternative, there's actually 3 alternatives, and I own 2 of them. One of them is this exhibit card here from 1948, which mentions Minneapolis. It doesn't say Lakers on the front, but most people know these for being baseball or non-sport, but there were a few basketball guys as well, including Miken. I lucked out. I got this for like $11. It was listed under football. People really weren't searching for these at the time, so yeah, it has some paper wear, but very happy to have that. And I don't even know, at one point PSA was not grading these. I think SGC was the only route. I haven't really looked into getting it slab. Maybe I will. Who knows? I mean, the grade's not going to be high, but I'm just happy to have the card. This one is PSA authenticated, and it's altered, which I have no problem with buying an altered card, especially if it's going to give me a little bit of a discount. So this is from 1948 Kellogg's Pep. And that was, I want to say that was like their Wheaties alternative. And obviously that didn't stick around for very long, but they had little cards in there, and this is one of them, George Miken. So that's from 1948. The other one would be a Topps Magic card that they featured different colleges, and DePaul was one of them on there, and it featured Miken, but I don't have that one. But I mentioned Wheaties earlier. Well, just 4 years later in 1952, there were Wheaties cards. Actually, he was on a panel of some of the smaller boxes in 1951 as well, but you don't see those very often. So he had 2 different cards on 52, this one, and then there's an action shot. I don't have the action shot, but I grabbed this on ComC, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, I think, for maybe like, I think $35. So happy with that purchase. I don't see a lot of them that have the blue edge around it. And some people don't like that anyway, but I like that. So anyway, I grabbed that one. But here, actually, let's show this one first. This was another ComC purchase from years ago. This was the first year of Immaculate, 2012. And it's got like an acetate surface. And it's just a jumbo piece of jersey. And I've tried to track down that jersey, and I can't find where they got that at all. I can't find anywhere where they bought that in a public auction. I'd like to know, but, that information is not out there as far as I can tell. But anyway, there's 50 of these, and there's not a lot of jumbo jerseys of Miken out there. There's also not a lot of jumbo prime pieces. So even though this is a piece of what we would consider the trim, That when I saw that, I told myself I've got to have that, because you just don't see Miken. You don't see a lot of Miken patches in general, and there aren't any others that I know of that are this large of a piece, for a prime piece at least. All right, enough about George Miken. I've been just sitting here staring at those cards, but we're going to move on now to Earl Monroe, and he was a famous 6'3" two guard, and we've had several other members of the 73 Knicks squad already. Earl was on that team too, and that was his only ring. But, you know, if you just look at the stats, his numbers aren't necessarily going to blow you away. I think he averaged something like 18 and 4 over the course of his career. But you have to consider the style and innovation that he brought to the game. A lot of spinning, a lot of pump fakes and dribble moves. And it wasn't just for show either. These were practical innovations that I feel contributed to the evolution of the game. And I was looking at his Wikipedia a couple days ago, and Gene Shue, which was one of his old coaches, claimed he has the greatest combination of basketball ability and showmanship. Now, I don't have a lot of cards, unfortunately, of Earl Monroe, but I do have his rookie card here, where he's, this was the pre-New York days, where he was with Baltimore. They pictured him in that warm-up there. You know, I don't know if a lot of people would like warm-up shots anymore these days, but they were fairly common in the 69 and 70 set. And then I have this 72 that's part of my collection, my 72 collection, that is signed. I didn't get this one signed myself. I bought this one already signed. I wish I had a cooler story that went with that, but I've never really had any interactions with Earl Monroe. Who knows, though? Maybe that'll change going forward. All right. Next up, we've got a Canadian basketball player, Steve Nash. And another guy who I feel helped shape the way the game is played and helped shape the modern point guard position. And while Nash could shoot and score, he was definitely a pass-first point guard, but at a much quicker pace than the league was used to when he first came in. And I think there were times in Phoenix where Mike D'Antoni wished Steve would shoot more, but that just wasn't his style. And as a result, he led the league in assists 5 times, and he's 4th all-time in assists. He's a 2-time MVP, even though the guy we're going to talk about later, Shaq, will argue that it should have been him both years. But, you know, we haven't seen a lot of Steve Nash as a coach yet. I figure he's going to be around a while in that capacity. So, you know, maybe he'll become a great coach too someday. We don't know that. But anyway, I've got his first SPX card here, which if you look, take a look at that effect there on the right side. That's pretty cool. I've got his regular Topps rookie. And then I've got his finest rookie, which does have a little bit of greening there. You see he's starting to hulk. But that I had 3 or 4 of these, and that was the best looking one, believe it or not. So I figure they're all going to about turn that way. And, yeah, I don't really have any Dallas stuff here. I guess I don't have any nice Dallas stuff of him. I do have a few numbered cards or whatever. But here is a... I should have taken this out earlier. I apologize. Here is a absolute patch from 2010, 2011. Looks like a big piece of the S in Nash. And that is numbered 2 out of 3. Absolute used to have some really, really nice jumbo patches. Unfortunately, things have changed. But anyway, on to our next person, which is one of Nash's old teammates and the highest scoring international player in NBA history, which of course is Dirk Nowitzki. And Dirk was a 14-time All-Star. He was the 2007 MVP, and he won the Finals MVP in 2011, which was a really big deal at the time because they took down the super team era Heat team. And he changed a lot of people's perceptions about 7-footers. He helped usher in a European style to the game. That's a lot more common today. And most of you saw Dirk play, so I don't need to go over everything in detail here. Let's just go ahead and get to the cards. I had some spacers here because there was some bad glare on the camera. This first one here is just his 98 Chrome rookie. And I want to give a shout out to Jake Roy at 90s B-Ball Cards. Make sure to check out his YouTube channel if you haven't already. This was a gift from him, and he gifted this to me probably when it was at its highest value raw. So that I don't want to take that for granted. I don't want to take that lightly. That was an amazing gift, and that makes me want to keep it even more because it was a gift from a friend. So happy to have that one. I don't have the SP Authentic rookie. I had a shot at the one that was jersey numbered. It was 41 out of 3,500. And they were, this was years ago. They wanted like, I don't know, like 180, and it was going, the regular one was going for like 90 at the time. So I passed on it, and I wish I'd gotten it now, but it is what it is. I've got this Prime patch, which is not numbered. There were some Panini patches that I don't know what happened. I mean, they're even labeled as Prime, but they got out without serial numbers. It's not the first time I've seen that, but it matches the rest of the cards in that jersey run or in that print run, so I don't have any problems owning that, especially for a PC card. And then Dirk has always been pretty good in the mail. So I sent this 2012 Hoops Western All-Stars card to him, and he signed that for me. I think he still hits the mail occasionally via the Mavericks. Not as frequently, though, but Dirk is pretty much an automatic when you would send stuff. And I have some other cards signed in the mail, but I can't find them at the moment. Okay, I started today with the former Lakers big man, and now I'm going to end with one as well, and that is the Big Diesel, Shaquille O'Neal. I've talked quite a bit about skilled big men throughout the duration of this list, but none exhibited anything close to the sheer strength and power that Shaq had at his disposal on any given night. Of course, this was on full display when the Lakers won 3 straight finals in 2000, 2001, and 2002. And he was also a finals MVP all 3 of those years. Unfortunately, one of them was against my Pacers, as you'll see depicted on this card here. People have been a little bit critical of Shaq because there were times where he couldn't make free throws or, he appeared to be out of shape. Well, he ended up 8th all-time in points scored. Could he have gotten higher on the list? Probably, but he did things the way he wanted to, and he was still pretty successful either way. So I'm going to start off here with a couple of slightly different Shaq rookies, because they couldn't make rookies of him early on. He had an exclusive deal with Classic. So he didn't have pro stuff early on. So all of the companies were making like either redemption sets or trade cards. So one of these is one that you had to send a trade card in for, which just had a silhouette of a man dunking, which was clearly Shaq, and they would hole punch that, and eventually you'd get the card. The other one was, I believe, was pack pulled. So you'll see that one of them is labeled 1 and one of them is labeled 1B. And then on the front here, one of them says trade card, and the other says draft pick. So there's slight differences in those. Also have the Topps rookie here because I feel like that's a pretty popular one for him, even though I kind of like the history behind that one better. I mentioned that Pacers-Lakers final. I've showed this card off already with my Reggie stuff, but I'll show it again because, like I said, only card with NBA Finals worn fabric of 2 Hall of Famers on the same card. So I feel like that's pretty significant. And then speaking of final stuff, they made a final score set in Topps in the second year of Topps Big Game. That was only a 2-year product, and they had these. They had several versions of these. I've had a version that was autographed as well, but it wasn't a multicolor patch, so I actually sold it. But they had these patches for Shaq numbered to 50 from an NBA Finals jersey. There's the back of it there. Not all of them feature the Larry O'Brien trophy. I've tracked down 2 of them that do. These 2 do not, but anytime I've seen these for a good price, I'm going to grab them. And, well, the trophies maybe weren't so much a good price, but I wanted to grab those either way because I collect Larry O'Brien trophy stuff, which just got a redesign, by the way. I don't know if you've seen that. You'll have to let me know in the comments your thoughts on that. But anyway, so yeah, I have 4 of those, and they're all unique to me. So it's not, I don't really feel like it's having 4 of the same card because all 4 patches are very different. And then finally, Shaq made a number of stops, so I don't have any nice Cavs stuff. I don't have any nice Sun stuff, but I do have this, which is even more rare. It is a Shaq Celtics patch, and I'll have to look up. I'd have to look it up on my computer. I think he played in somewhere either like 36 or 39 games for the Celtics, and they only wore these the jerseys with the black patches in so many of them. So there are not a lot of games that this could have come from. I've come close to tracking it down, but I don't have it exactly. What's cool about this card also is that it's the Emerald version numbered to 5. So there aren't going to, this one's 3 out of 5. There aren't going to be a lot of Shaq cards out there with him in a green jersey with a green version of the card. I think this is probably the most visually appealing of all of them. So This was one when I saw it. It's like, hey, I love weird stuff like that especially, and I had to have it. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you saw something different today. I try to give you a good mix of popular and obscure cards if I've got them. So just like, comment, and subscribe if you don't mind, if you aren't subscribed already. And remember, there are new episodes of the podcast that come out every Thursday. Thanks for watching.